Well. Welcome to a very special edition of Rimshots to Show, brought to you by Barstools and Bandtalk. You may or may not recognize this young lady. I can say that because I'm a month older than she is. So she called me young before we came on here. But I have the one, the only Miss Bobbie Jean Brown. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, and you're feeling better. I know you were had about a illness there when we tried to do this last week.
Yes, I mean I'm not at 100%, but I'm getting better. Like I had surgery last month, a whole sinus surgery, so I'm still a little nasally. Um, and then I had like a stomach thing. I don't know. Yes, but I'm feeling better today. I'm in a robe and I'm casual, but I am feeling more upbeat. Thank you.
And you're a survivor, so that's awesome. So I told you I'd like to start because I mean you've been asked the same old things a bunch of times, and we may end up there. But there was a period where it seemed like you just kind of disappeared for a bit, and then you started posting some things, and everybody goes, "Is this the right Bobbie Jean Brown? What's going on here?" So why don't you tell everybody what's been going on with you the last year and a half to 2 years, maybe, where they might have not seen you, and now you're back, I guess, with a vengeance.
Well, the disappearance wasn't intentional. I had my identity stolen.
Oh, okay.
Uh, Yeah, my identity stolen. There was a female who was, I would call her obsessed, who tried to take my life. And like she came on as like a fake person who owned a magazine, came over to do an interview, put spyware on my computer. And before I even knew it, I was robbed, had my identity stolen. And then she showed up at the middle of the night, like with a loaded 38. That became a whole thing,
Wow.
and God saved me in that moment. But for about 3 years, she had accessed every single account, every dime, my name, all of my social media had become me online, and cleaned me out basically. And I just, no matter what I threw at it, like, I took it to the police, to the forensics department, to hackers. There was literally nothing I could do. Nobody, I was in Louisiana at the time, and they were like, why would somebody want to do that to you? Like they had no, no clue. It was their first stalking case ever in Louisiana. And I was just like, wow. So they couldn't help me. And so when when I had disappeared, if I was online, it was not me. My accounts were still active. Someone was still using them, but it was this person. So me as myself, some people were like, yeah, I had messaged you and you said something really weird and it just didn't seem like you. And I'm like, well, because it wasn't me. And it took me approximately 3 years to reacquire some of my online accounts. Of course, all the money was gone, all the bank accounts, all that stuff was stolen. But took about 3 years for me to get my socials back, my verified socials back, and I got those back like, gosh, maybe within the last year, not even the last year, not even like maybe the last 8 months. It's been me, but I feel like at the time it was tragic. At the time I was traumatized. At the time I was a broken person. Like I had been through a lot of stuff that freaked me out, made me very depressed. I felt like, I'd spent my whole life being me, not having to have married well. Like I had accomplished my own success, goals, money, did, I wasn't living off of, a rich husband or, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I thought, I did everything myself and I acquired, my success as Bobbie myself. And now I can't, everything's gone. I kind of looked at it that way, and that's how it felt and that's how it was. And, but I really do feel like now that God used that person to bring me to a point of a death of self, like to know that he allowed me to get to such a bottom to where I had to realize that everything good comes from him. And that's where he was actually able to access my heart, for me to lean on him and to know him. And I grew up in a life with, I believed in God. I just didn't go to church. I didn't pray. I didn't ever open a Bible. I didn't know really about, I wasn't raised in a Christian household or around Christian people. Hollywood is not really promoting Jesus
Yeah,
in any
sure.
capacity. You know what I mean? I didn't have like friends who were like, it was just a competitive, everyone out for themselves. It's all about the fame and the money. It's all about how relevant you can stay. Like, it was an exhausting, like, I don't look back on my life and think, oh, woe is me, poor me. I mean, I had a wonderful life. I really did. I had a lot of great times and experiences and a lot of traumatizing times and experiences, a lot of heartbreak, heartache, and just living your day to day competing, every moment of your life. It can become hard. You become jaded. I had become hardened for sure. And the things that you prioritize in your life aren't the most important things at all,
So if we stop the interview right here, I think a lot of people would have no idea. I had no idea that happened, and I mean, I actually had some uh, social media issues last week, nowhere near the level of that.
Yeah.
And then Facebook goes down, and Instagram goes down, and the whole world's
Yeah.
like, "What do we do?" Um,
Right.
so was this person caught? Was there anything done to them? From a criminal standpoint, or
They destroyed their weapon. I got a stay away order, um, which is basically about the amount of what they do here, because I guess in the state of Louisiana, everybody's got a weapon,
yeah.
everybody just, you know, it's a totally different vibe. And so I got the stay away order. Didn't mean she stayed away. So I was triggered a lot. And but forensically, zero, they
Wow.
had zero idea how to wrap their heads around that.
Wow.
Like, I proved, like, I hired somebody to prove exactly when it was activated, how it was activated, when it was created, how it worked, the link to it. Like, and I printed that out and brought it to the detectives, and they were just like kind of pissed that I was telling them how to do their job. And
Well, rightly so.
yeah, and they were like, that's not possible. That's not real. That can't be real. They just literally were like, didn't want to accept the fact that, yeah, man, it's that easy. This spyware was created in 2016. This is the name of it. This is when it was activated on my computer. This is how it works. Here's the link to it. Like, because I was trying to help them along with the case, and they were like, not having that. They were not having that. And they basically said that the information I gave them was an impossibility. Like, they didn't even look into it, basically. Said it was an impossibility and suggested that I may need to be put on a mental hold.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was crazy.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and that's impossible. People can't put spyware on your computer. And I just went, that's incorrect. Y'all are wrong. Obviously you can't help me, and I'm going to come pick up my devices, and thanks for nothing, basically. So yeah, it took a while for me to get all my stuff back, but I really do think that God used that opportunity to kind of separate me from myself, and from, I had to get to that point for me to be open to, what he was about to do. And what he did was a miraculous overnight thing that blew my mind. May sound crazy to some, but was the most incredible intervention I've ever had in my entire life. And it changed the complete GPS directory on my future.
So
And
I'm going to
yeah.
say that was the most, because when I asked you the question, I wasn't expecting
Mhm.
any of that, and I don't know if is that common? Is it out there? Is that common knowledge, or because you said you're trying to stay a little bit low key and not really put some things out there? So is that common knowledge at this point?
Um, I've discussed it in a couple of interviews. Some in full detail, like maybe too much detail, some in just vague detail. I don't know how common people are. I don't know that everybody's aware of that information. Like you said, you weren't aware of it.
Not at all.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where I went when I disappeared. And I was still alive, but I just was not online in any capacity at all. In fact, I even stopped using the computer because I was like, screw this. Like, there was just, I was so devastated.
Because I'll be honest with you. So I got a brother who's a Pentecostal minister. So I thought the first couple minutes of this would be not you trying to convince me to go to church on Sundays, but I thought, we were going to get that. And I was watching the clock out of the side of my eye. That's 10 minutes of riveting storytelling that I don't think anybody knew that, it
We don't
happens.
don't have to stop at 30 minutes. I just sometimes people will be like, yeah, we're only gonna do it this, and it'll be like 2 hours. And I'm like, 2 hours is way too long. So yeah, if we are having a great conversation and we're flowing, you don't have to keep watching the clock. It's fine.
Oh yeah. Well, no, and I'm just saying, like, you're sitting there telling the story and it's like, what? That was 10 minutes of nonstop action. And I guess the end result is there's a person who may never be brought to justice or may never have anything done to them. And that's, to me, is maddening, because I've been in situations where similar things have happened, and it just seems like, when somebody figures out how to work the law, they're almost professionals at working the law.
Absolutely. And when you're in states that have no clue how to wrap their heads around forensics, or like I once joked, but it's not a joke, it's legit. Like, hey, if you want to, commit fraud and identity theft, Louisiana's a great state to come do it.
Wow.
Because I was on it for a year nonstop. I was determined. I went to the FBI. I was so determined to get justice, and literally nothing happened. Like, I had to go prove myself in court in California that I was me, because this person was collecting my unemployment during COVID.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. So this person's still out and still doing it to other people. And,
and you know what? Sorry, go ahead.
I said, it is what it is.
Well, I mean, eventually you don't want to say you hope, but you have to think they're gonna cross the wrong person, and it's gonna wind up very badly for them, which is, not great. Okay, so to shift gears, well, not really shift gears. So you moved back to your home state. You were telling this before you went on, and I got from what you said in the story that it probably had to do with you just LA. Boom, I'm done with it. I want to get away. Is that the gist of it?
It was kind of the gist of it. When COVID hit, I was just like, I need to be with my family. This is crazy. I don't know what's going on. I moved back here. Everything was beautiful. And I thought I had my fill of meeting toxic narcissists for the 36 years that I had lived in LA. I thought I'd encountered all of it. I know how to handle it. And I moved back here, and that's where it happened.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was like the perfect time for the perfect storm, for this person to just zone in on me. And, the whole while I'm moving here. So this person had obviously been a fan girling. So this female thought I was supposed to be her husband.
Well,
right.
Yeah. Okay.
So, me, I'm here and I'm like recording it the whole way, like on Instagram, like I'm in Kentucky now, or, like I made it, like just like everybody else is doing online, social media their entire life. So this person, knew everything about me, followed me, read all my books, knew all the details, and just hit me up at the perfect time and went like, I own a magazine. I want to do an interview with you. And I was like, sure. Just trusting people in Louisiana, especially. I never in a million years would I think I'm about to meet my demise, possibly my death. I just came in with a trusting heart, thinking everyone else was like that, and I was sadly mistaken, and that all took a turn for the worse. And
and when we were setting this up, I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, I mean, this little podcast is a COVID project, right? Like, I was playing, I couldn't play. I'll do it for 5 weeks. I'm back at it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm here 4 years later, and I've talked to some all kinds of different people. But every time when you message somebody, you might go, okay, who is this whack job? Where is Halifax, Nova Scotia? Like, and you were very gracious getting back to me, and hopefully I was respectful of your time as we were kind of texting back and forth. But I do get the fact that you don't know who's on the other end and who's, it must be very tough to go, oh man, yeah, I'm going to answer this person in a professional way, or even answer them at all for, fear of the same thing could happen.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was finally actually able to get into some of my accounts, after 3 years, like I was able to get a couple of my verified accounts. All the rest of them were just like, ruined. But just even going back into the messenger part of some of my accounts, it's like, you have 82,642 messages. And I was like,
Wow.
nope. I just immediately was like, I can't. Like, so just every now and then I'll check in my messenger. I'll see something will tell me, maybe it's the Holy Spirit. I don't know. Something will tell me, click on this message. And so for me to even respond to you is huge, because I don't usually.
Well, I appreciate that, because
No.
it was actually in a you made it. It was a post that you had, somebody made a comment and I made a comment back about, I'd love to interview, and you said message me, and that was the whole thing, right? So
Yeah.
so I get it. I get it.
Yeah, and for me to respond, so I feel like my steps are designed now. That like I had a divine encounter, which I was telling you.
Mhm.
Not that I'm going to go back to that, but it changed everything in my life. Like, literally changed me overnight. And once the manifest presence of God revealed himself to me and showed me my entire life, and his first words were, "Do not be afraid, my child." Like, I immediately knew it was God. And this happened for 8 hours, and I woke up a different person. It was amazing and incredible, and it changed everything about the whole identity crisis or theft. I literally was like, my identity is in Christ now, and everything's going to be different from now on, and everything has. It hasn't been like overnight success and I have all this money back. Like, no, everything, I'm starting from the ground up again and starting over, but like, in my heart and my mind, different, like I'm a new creation. And it's just changed me as a human being. Like, I have more compassion. I have more patience. I'm so grateful. It's a work in progress, but man, I'm convicted about things, and I don't know. It just changed my life. And once that happened, I can never go back. I could just never go back to
So
that. So yeah.
I'm gonna shift gears here in a second, but one of the questions I have for you through all this,
Okay.
when you and the Christianity, did you have people that were like, come on, really? Like, I don't know if you've been asked that before, but because I know, my brother's a hardcore Pentecostal minister, and he's one way, but I have some friends that, you do something a little different, and they're like, what, really? Did you get any of that?
So I'm not promoting religion by any means.
And I get that for sure.
Yeah. But what happened was everything changed for me, and I started to change. I changed from the inside out, and the person I was, and that people knew me my entire life, knew of me, saw something in me immediately within the next day. And from that day forward, and I had some people go like, I don't know what's going on with you, but you seem different. You sound different. You look different. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I'm loving it. I don't know what it is, but I'm loving it. And I tell them, and some of my friends who are like, didn't know anything about Jesus, which I didn't either, like
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't looking for him. He found me in that moment of just complete and utter brokenness. And that moment where my heart was willing and just like had all the the thorns and the weeds and the walls that I had built all those years in Hollywood, just was at that moment where I was just so willing, where I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. Like, I give up. Like, I was at the point where I was like, I give up. And I tried in my humanness to make everything happen and work and fix, and it just wasn't happening. And I just said, God, if you're real, if you're there, I can't do this anymore. I can't. I need you. I need help. I don't know what to do, who to turn to. Like, and man, did he show up for me in a way that blew my mind supernaturally. Like, I can't even describe the experience physically, because I was breathing in a way that you can't humanly breathe. And with every breath in, I kept saying, God, your love is so powerful. And he was filling me with the most love that I've ever felt in my entire life, that you can't even imagine how much love you've ever felt for your child or for someone else, or you thought someone loved you. Like, I've never felt more love in my entire life in those moments. And I was just an 8-hour experience showing me my entire life where he was, but in clip, it's really fast, like a movie. And we weren't speaking words, but we were speaking to each other in our mind. And before I could look one way and I would have a question, it was shown to me in a clip like a movie and answered by the time I could blink to the right. And in a blink, it was incredible. And yeah, so sorry to get off the topic, but like,
No, not at all.
Yeah. Yeah, many friends would ask me, like, what's going on with you? And I would explain to them, and they'd be like, yeah, I don't know if I believe that, or, or that sounds crazy. Like, you might sound crazy to some people. And I'm like, it does sound crazy. It absolutely sounds crazy, but it's absolutely true. And from that moment on, I needed more. I wanted more. I wanted to know more, because I had known nothing before. And there was a sense of urgency to this encounter. And I was like thirsty for more. And I found a church. I found a prayer group. I got a Bible. I just devoured. The more I learned, the more I wanted to know. And the closer a relationship I had with God, which I never knew you could have a relationship where you could, pray or say something to him and get an answer and it be confirmed in your spirit. Like, I'm still new. I'm still a babe in Christ. Like, I'm a brand new Christian, but woo, I mean, mind blown. And I get confirmations all the time. And I just go, wow, you're so awesome. Like, I wish I would have known this. I wish I would have known I could have had, this, or I could have prayed for my marriage, or could have prayed for my husband's addictions or mine, or I wish I would have known the power of his mercy sooner. Like, wow. And I just thank him every single day. I go like, better late than never,
I was gonna say now you do. Now you do.
Yeah, now I do. But I'm like, wow, it's awesome. My family members sometimes, especially in the beginning, were like, whoa, like just totally tripped out, but not in a bad way, because I was less, aggressive or foul, or because I was a certain type of way.
Yeah, when you were doing, and I will say, I text you about Lorraine Lewis, and the one reality TV show that I watched was the X-Wives of Rock. So I got the spiciness when I used to watch that, and I definitely, I know what you mean there for sure.
Yeah, I was a certain type of way, and which I still have my sense of humor. I still have a personality. I still have my wits about me. I'm not perfect by any means, but I was a certain type of way. Yep. And that way has changed a lot. And things that I used to think were funny, now I think are like, oh. it's so bizarre, but like I said, I'm a work in progress. I'm not perfect. You know, I still have moments where I'm like, I am about to choke this person out. All right, I'm gonna go walk outside, and I call it I have a mental lap. I'm gonna take a mental lap. I'm be like, Lord, zip my lips right now because I'm about to pop off. You know, at least I have the moment where I'm like, I can catch myself and be like, God help me right now because this is getting funky. You know,
Very
God help,
mature.
yeah, Lord help me, it's about to get weird. And he will. And then sometimes when I just lose it, or if I catch myself, or I have that moment where something creeps back in, I'm immediately convicted, and I'm like, you know what? I'm so sorry. I did not mean to say that. That was rude. That was hurtful. I didn't mean that. In the past, it would have been nothing for me to just walk out of the room and be like, yeah, and that's it. F you, and be totally stuck with that, and like harbor resentment, and like fight. Like I was all about a fight. Now I'm all not about a fight. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
not about a
That's
yeah.
great.
So, yeah.
Um, I promise you I wouldn't ask you or try not to ask you the same thing you've been asked 1,000 times. I'm going to take it at a different angle.
Okay.
You've done hundreds, maybe thousands of these things where people have asked you questions of things that they've read and heard and whatever. Is there one topic out of all of them, and this is not meant to be salacious in any way, is there one topic in all of them you just go, oh my God, will you like ask me something different? This like it's out there a million times. Go do the research. Is there something you just don't like to talk about anymore?
Um. Actually, I mean, I really don't have a problem talking about anything in my life that's ever happened because I feel like somebody always learns something
Mhm.
that they know before. And, I've written books and I've talked about a lot, but I've also not talked about a lot.
Mhm.
And, yeah, I'm okay. It's like, I've had questions where people actually haven't done their homework and like have said stuff like, "Oh, I love wearing your makeup," or they'll try to be funny and be like, "What was it like to be married to Whitney Houston?" Or I don't know, stuff like that. And I'll just be like, I don't even know how to respond to that. I'll just be like, "She was awesome," or
Yeah.
I don't. I'm really totally chill about whatever anybody wants to ask me because it's kind of I'm always intrigued when people ask me stuff that I haven't been asked or, that they didn't know. I like
Well,
to be able to tell people stuff that they may, I don't know.
well, no. Okay. So here goes, and you may have been asked this before. I don't know, but I'm as you can see, I've done my part to send Gene and Paul's kids to university. So I'm a huge Kiss fan and did not
Yeah.
watch Gene Simmons' Family Jewels. Truth. Um, but the X-Wise of Rock, I thought was a very interesting thing because there's the ladies from some of my favorite bands. The camaraderie that you guys had on that show was that legit or was it scripted or a little bit of both? Because it seemed to be very genuine, very real. It seemed like you were just four ladies that kind of hung out and shot the breeze on a regular basis.
It was a non-scripted show. We never had a script. We never had a day where they were like, so today you're going to go in and you guys are going to have an argument and you guys are going to talk about this. Literally, because we have known each other for so long and we were doing a show together, we did have that camaraderie. That is everything that you saw that happened on that show actually happened in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And, when Blue and I had an argument, it was a real argument for real. And like, I went home and was still pissed about it.
Yeah.
And, I would contact them and be like, I'm not doing any more scenes with her, blah, blah, blah. And then they would be like, oh, we have a scene at, this person's house. Like they never knew what they were going to get, which was kind of exciting for us and for them. And they loved, the crew loved working with us because it's true. They just literally never knew what they were going to get. And because we've known each other for so long and we all loved each other, whether we had issues with one another, we were very forthright with that. Like, she's lying. She makes that crap up. She's been lying about that for 30 years. Whatever our beefs were, we all said it. I felt like we all did, except for Blue, I would say. But then I would say in the end, I'm like, oh, we'll see this in the repeats and the edits. And then they would show that in one of the shows. They would show her talking smack and I would call it out. I'm like, oh, she'll probably lie about that. And we'll see it in the next episode. And they would show that. That was probably the best job I've ever had, honestly, to get paid, hang out with your friends, and be yourself.
And
that was awesome.
There's a lot of firepower in that show. When I saw the character, I didn't really know too much of Blue, Charisse a little bit. You didn't surprise me at all. But the one that I was just like, this girl could beat the absolute crap out of you if you were mean to her was Athena.
She's all, yeah. I mean, honestly, yeah, we still talk and we still love each other. Will always be one of my best friends until the day we die. We're like our ride or dies. Yeah. Yeah, she's a trip and she's awesome. And I don't know, we all had our special things about us, and we are exactly those people. I can't necessarily speak for Blue because I felt like her personality changed with the wind and depended on who was there or who wasn't. And I would say that to her now, and it still rings true for today. So, but I haven't spoken to her in years after our last fallout. But I wish her nothing but love and the best and everything good. I have nothing bad to say about her. Like, whatever you saw beef wise. And you know what? I'm not the kind of person that likes to stay in an argument. So as soon as there would be a scene where, you know, I was still mad at her, the first thing I wanted to do was be like, you know what? I forgive you. Yeah. I'm always forgiving. Like, I'm cool. And then if it just keeps happening, I'll just have to cut you off. Like, you know what I mean? I'll forgive you and I'll forgive you. But if, you know, what is that saying? Like, forgive me once, shame on me, forgive you twice, shame on you, or I don't forget how that goes. But I do forgive. I'm not going to keep toxicity in my life.
That's a fair thing.
Yeah.
So you're in Louisiana now. You've been there for a couple of years.
One year. I've been
1 year.
I moved back here last April. Yeah. So I'd moved here from COVID, and then after all that went down, I was like, I am out of here again. I moved back to LA, went back there. I was like, what am I thinking? This is hell. So I went back and forth in the last 2 years. And so I came back here again last April.
Well, that's tough because you have friends there. You probably have family there. You have some people that you don't get to see as much. But what's Miss Bobbie Jean Brown doing now to rebuild that empire that evil person tried to chip away at?
Well, Taylor, my daughter, who's an incredible writer, she is helping me write my third book.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, which is in the works now. And so we're doing that together, which is going to be awesome. And I just signed with a new entertainment team. And I'm going to start getting back into doing, you know, TV, movies, commercials, and stuff like that. Which I'm really excited about my new team. I had an old team who kind of was not digging my new vibe. They weren't really digging the new vibe. So I have a new team that is super supportive of my new vibe. And that's cool. And that's awesome. So I'm loving my new team and my church family, my new friends, my family. I get to be with them. I'm going to be working with my daughter, and basically that's it. I'm also going to start doing speaking. I've been asked to go out to schools and other churches to tell my testimony, and just talked with the Refuge for Women, who I'm hoping to be some part of. I took a meeting with them last week, and they do refuge for the housing and reformation and health and therapy and everything for women and children who have been trafficked. So I took a meeting with them last week, and I feel like that's going to be a great thing to be involved with, and I'm excited to be a part of that. So
this little chat, and I don't even consider it an interview. I feel like you and I are just kind of sitting around and having a beer and having a chat. But a couple of it, I mean, I've learned some stuff. I know that personally, if that first part had happened to me, I probably would have turned over tables and chairs and tried to run somebody over with a vehicle.
Yeah.
All joking aside. So you have all that stuff happen to you, but you still seem very upbeat, peppy, chipper, like you're still ready to take on the world.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
that's not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not an easy thing to do. It's taken me some time and but hey, I'm still alive and I'm happy to be alive and I have a purpose and I know the Lord has me, trying again, but for his glory. Like I'm going to do things for other people, not just myself now. I want to be involved in helping and encouraging others and letting people know that hey, if this can happen to me in one night, can happen to anybody. Like God is just waiting for us to lean on him and to just call out to him. He's just waiting. He's not a forceful God. He's not going to come and grab you around the neck and put you in a chokehold and be like, you need to be,
Yep.
yeah, you need to follow me. He's waiting for you to come to him. And sometimes he'll allow circumstances to get you to a point where you do need him. And I feel like that's what happened with me. And at the time, like you said, I was not happy.
Mm-hmm.
I was lashing out. I was a mess. I had gone back to doing drugs. I was day drinking. I was fighting. I was mad. I was hurt. I was broken. I was a mess. I was a mess. I was broke. I couldn't access myself. I couldn't access Bobbie Brown, even if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and so I went through I ran the gamut of emotions, from being destructive to you name it, I went through it. And when I finally got to the point where I went like, you know what, I'm done. I surrender. I am done. I need help. No another human person can help me. I've tried. This is it. This is it. This is going to be my demise or my triumph. I'm either going to overcome this or I'm done. And that's when the Lord came into the room and his manifest presence changed my life overnight and gave me a new heart and a new drive for life.
I do think it's super cool that you're able to do a project with your daughter because I mean sometimes you sometimes parents just don't have those types of relationships with their kids and whatnot. And you mentioned she's a talented writer, which I mean, she comes from very good stock, obviously, in terms of that. Did I hear that she maybe had was doing something in music at some point? Was that
That's her younger sister.
Okay.
So she has so Janie, I was Janie's first wife, and we have Taylor. And she definitely got his ability to write, like just a genius. She's an incredible writer, and so was he. And his second wife, he was married. He had a daughter also named Madison, and she got his vocal chops. So they both were blessed with some two of his, incredible talents that God blessed him with. And they're both blessed in their own talented ways. And I'm just excited to, share in that with Taylor and write together. And we just, me and Madison, who is her little sister, and Taylor all just met in Ohio. We did a tribute show to Janie.
Oh, cool.
Where we got to all see each other again, because the last time we all saw each other was at his funeral. It's been quite a long time and a well-deserved reuniting of siblings and to get to spend time together again. And it was a beautiful time. We had a lovely time in Ohio, which is where he is born and raised. And it was awesome.
Well, let me ask you this. What's your favorite Warrant album?
Favorite Warrant album?
Because I had a little story for you after you tell me which one.
Well, I love Blind Faith because he wrote it for me. That's his song that he wrote about me, which I love. I love, I can't say that I don't. I love Cherry Pie. I love the album right after, which was I think Dog Eat Dog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that album. I don't think there's. What's the third album?
Dog Eat Dog.
Yeah.
Then Ultraphobic.
Yes. Okay, so I have to say Dog Eat Dog and Cherry Pie are my favorite albums.
So notice I didn't bring up Cherry Pie. You're welcome.
Yeah, I did.
So when years and years and years ago, I was playing in a band and we used to tour Ontario, Southern Ontario, Canada.
Yeah.
And the singer in my band put on, and if you get to know me, I'm not super open about listening to new music if I don't know it. So he puts on Dog Eat Dog, and to this day, it's probably one of the only albums that when I put it on, I listen all the way through. I don't skip anything. I don't jump around. But it's probably one of my favorite albums of all time because I just thought that those guys were getting so much stupidity in the press about them being a cheesy hair band, and that album came out and said, no, these guys can play. Just stop.
Right.
And yeah, they were my boys right there, man. Straight up.
Yeah. He worked so hard on that album, and I was so proud of him, and he loved that album, and they didn't do it justice. The label, the PR, like everybody was jumping on that other bandwagon, that whole grunge vibe. And that album really just got underrated, and it was an incredible album. So I have to agree with you. Like that was one of my favorite albums too.
No question. The writing on that is just insane. So
incredible.
Look, I promised I would. We've been at this 41 minutes now, and that's incredible. And you know what? We didn't cover. I don't think a lot of the cheesy stuff that you've probably been asked in the past. And for the record, like I just said, you brought up Cherry Pie. I didn't. Everybody knows that. Well, we don't need to hit that pillowcase one more time, right? I mean, it's been done to death. But
I honestly don't mind.
Well, I'll end with this. Because I was talking to somebody the other day. There was an interview that he did where he said he didn't want to be known as the Cherry Pie guy, and he regretted doing the song. And do you feel the same way about that song and that video and that point?
No, not at all.
No,
not at all. It's how people know me. It's withstood the test of time. It gives me wonderful memories. It's what brought me and my husband together, the love of my life together, and we have a child together, and it will forever be a moment in history and in my life and in my heart. So no, it doesn't bother me at all.
I want to thank you for doing this. This was great. I'd love to stay in touch with you. You're making out. You say you have a new team. It'll be great to see what happens with that.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, young lady, and I can say that because I'm a month older than you.
Thank you, you old man.
Peace out.